Hey YouTube, Vladimir here, and I just received my brand new original Prusa i3 Mark II printer. And the first thing I wanted to do once I got this in was just to go big. So I designed and 3D printed this iceberg slash crystal model you see here. Now, those of you who are familiar with my other videos, you know that I like to take time-lapse video of my prints. And one of the things I was worried about was whether having a bed that moved back and forth was going to make time-lapse photography feasible. I was just concerned that the video would just come out too jittery with the print constantly moving. But check this out. Look how smooth this looks with the bed moving back and forth and the print growing right before your eyes. I really love the effect of that. So I'm happy that that worked out. I'm not sure that if just my timing was right on this, but I'll definitely be experimenting with that a little more. People have been asking me what kind of crazy editing I did to get this effect. I really didn't do anything at all. This is just straight out of the camera. All I did was just set my GoPro to one picture every 30 seconds, and that's the result. I'm really happy with the way it came out, but I gotta say, one of the most impressive things is just being able to print something that can take up pretty much your entire bed and not have to fuss with bed leveling at all. So very happy that Joseph Prusa was able to put a printer together that has automatic bed leveling that actually works. So I'm going to go into how I designed this, but before that I want to talk a little bit about the inspiration for this, which came from Maker's Muse, who did a video on designing the same thing but using Meshmixer. And he goes into how he models it in Meshmixer and some of the things you have to know about or consider when printing with the VAS or VAS mode. So he did his video, and then Chaos Cortec followed with doing a similar thing but using the sculpting environment in Fusion 360. So it's also a great tutorial, by the way, so I'm going to recommend you check out both videos. But Chaos Cortec's video came out a little more organic in shape, and so after watching that I thought, hey, I want to get in on this as well. So I'm going to go ahead and use Fusion and show you how to design this, but keep that sort of low polygon crystal shape going on, so it resembles a crystal or an iceberg. So I'm going to jump into Fusion. Before that, I'll talk a little bit about my approach. So I started off small to make sure that this would print okay, and one of the things that you do have to be worried about is when you're printing in the VAS mode is that layer adhesion. So if your angles start to get shallow, you're going to have a problem because you start getting this where they just don't adhere together. Something to also consider is layer height. So if you're printing with a low layer height, or let's say a low resolution, let's say 0.3 millimeters, you're not going to be able to get as shallow of an angle. As you increase it or increase the resolution, let's say you go down to 0.2 or 0.1, you start to get better adhesion. And that's simply because as the nozzle moves up in increments, if you're printing at a 0.1, it's going to move at much less increment than a 0.3, so it's going to be able to deposit those layers closer together. But just something to keep in mind. Also, I'm already thinking of the next step, which is to go ahead and light these up with some LEDs to make them glow. So I ended up buying these RGB LEDs, and these things are incredible. So basically, once you light them up, they just go ahead and change color, and they go through the spectrum. Without any programming, no microcontroller, all I'm doing here is just attaching it to a battery. So I'm going to go ahead and insert these into these icebergs and really have them glow. So my next video, what I'm going to try to do, which I've already started working on, is to 3D model a case or sort of a switching mechanism for this, where everything can be all in one piece and all 3D printed, where you can just sort of switch it on or off. So I'm working on that model right now, so stay tuned. for that. It'll probably be my next video. So make sure to subscribe so you can be notified of that. Also, don't forget to check out my designing for 3D printing tutorials, which I'll leave a link down below if you're interested in learning more about Fusion 360. It's definitely a good place to start. Alright, let's jump into Fusion and I'll show you guys how I tackled this. I'm going to show you two different ways to tackle this design. The first will be to just go ahead and create a sketch. We'll grab a plane and then grab a polygon tool here. We'll start at the center. You can grab any shape you want. I'm going to go with the hexagon here. And then we'll extrude that up. And notice that we have this taper angle here that we can take advantage of. So I can just play around with this to get the different shapes I want. So we'll open it up a little bit, extrude it again, close that angle a bit, and then say one more extrusion, and we'll close that angle even more. And you can see how we can start to play with this to get all sorts of different shapes that can resemble different crystals. But that's not it. We can also go in and right click and choose Move/Copy. And I show a good example of how you can apply this with my video on the GoPro polyhedron case, where I use this method to quickly get the different angles I need for that case, or not the case, the stand. So basically what we can do here is once we select faces, we have the option of coming in and we can choose translate to manipulate these faces, or we can, for example, just go to free move, and we have all sorts of options here. I find it a little bit overwhelming sometimes with too many options, so what I like to do is just kind of go in. For example, if I want to rotate, I'll just choose rotate, and then you can select the axis you want, and basically that becomes sort of your hinge, and you can move these faces around to get that angle you want. So you can see how you can start playing with that and just really start creating all sorts of shapes. The other way I'm going to show you is here. I'll open up a new design and we're going to go into the sculpting environment. So if we click on create form, we're now in sculpting, and I got to give credit to the Adafruit guys, Pedro and Noah, who did a tutorial on this and showed me how to do this. So learn from them. But basically what they show us is you can go ahead and grab any shape, like any one of these primitives here. So for example, if we grab a box and draw a box here, we'll move this up, and if we then go to edit form, we can start moving this around. But the problem is it's still that sort of very organic curved shape, and we want that low poly count type of look. So let's undo that, and we'll select everything and we'll just go to crease. So we'll select crease, and now we get this very boxy shape, but we still have the option of going into edit form and still being able to manipulate these faces and edges. So I can grab a face and drag that out, or I can grab an edge, go ahead and drag that out, or I can even manipulate vertices. So I just grab that point and drag the whole thing up. So you can start to see how this can begin taking shape. Let me go ahead and undo all that, and I'll show you one more thing. So I can grab multiple edges, for example, by just holding Control and selecting multiple edges, and then I can just grab this arrow and drag this up. And check that out, I made a sort of a Tudor style house without even trying. So this can be a pretty powerful way of modeling. We don't have to limit it to the square though. We can really just grab any shape. So let me delete that. Let's grab a different primitive. Let's choose the quad ball, and we'll go ahead and create one. Let's give this a diameter of 80. We can always scale it later. Span faces, I'm going to keep it at 2 to keep it simple. We can always increase that and give it more faces. I'm going to not do a symmetry, and I'll click OK. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing here. So I'm just going to select everything, right click, and go to crease and click OK. You can see we got that boxy shape. If it looks rounded in the back but boxy in the front, make sure you have under selection filters select through selected when you make that selection. Alright, so we can see it's starting to already look like a crystal, but we can still modify this quite a bit. So I'm going to start off with just highlighting the top half, go to edit form, and just kind of bring this up a little bit. And let's go ahead and we'll select these different edges, these 4 different edges, by holding Control, and let me bring that up. And then I'm just going to select just that vertex there and bring that up a bit. I can select this and maybe give it a little rotation here. And what else? So you can have fun with this, you know, I mean, you can get pretty creative. It's easy to get carried away though, so I'm going to try to constrain myself here. So let's go ahead. I'm going to grab this entire loop, maybe bring that down a bit, and then I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to insert another edge right in the middle there. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and go to Insert Edge. Bring this up, click OK. Now I haven't creased this, so notice if I go ahead and try to edit this, you know, I'm going to get a rounded effect, so we don't want that. So I'm going to just double click to select that entire loop, right click and choose crease, and that'll go ahead and do it. So now I can go ahead and grab this, you know, and just continue to manipulate this. Now we have to be careful here with these angles. So if you saw in Maker Misa's video, he goes and when he's finished with this, he exports it into Mesh Mixer to be able to kind of, you know, take a look at those angles and see if they can print. Because if they're too shallow, we're going to have problems, because that we're going to be using the vase mode, and that layer adhesion will not work if they're too shallow. So, and it, you know, it just won't stick. So all right, I'm gonna try to stop myself here, and I'm gonna go ahead and click OK. We're gonna finish form, and let's go ahead and cut off the bottom. So what I'm going to do is, let's bring our origin in so we see it, and I'll go to Construct, Offset Plane, grab that origin, bring it to about, let me bring it up just a little bit right there, and then I'm going to go to Modify, Split Body, choose my cutting tool, which is going to be that plane I just created. Click OK. I can go ahead and see the 2 bodies that I have, the top and the bottom. I don't need the bottom, so I'm just going to right click and go to Remove, and check Origin and Construction. So there's our crystal. Actually, I wanted this to be a little lower, so let's go back and adjust that where that plane was cut, which is easy to do. All I have to do is go back to my timeline. Here's where I made that plane. I'm just going to, let's toggle body on, bring that down a bit more, click OK, and there you go. So that looks good. Let's go ahead and send this to Simplify 3D, and I'll show you guys how we can use Simplify 3D to check those angles. So we'll make 3D print, choose that body. It'll open up Simplify. Let's get rid of our old one there. I'm gonna go ahead and place the bottom surface on the bed. So I'll choose Place Surface on Bed, and then I'll go ahead and align or center this. So, alright, so to check those angles, what we can do is use the supports feature here. So I'm going to click on supports, and I can give it an angle that I want to test, right? So I can say automatically generate supports. It's not generating anything, so basically it's telling me I'm good here. So what I mean, to go ahead and, if I bring this to 20, you know, it's gonna show me, okay, that doesn't meet that angle, so it'll draw supports there. But you know, let's go back to 45, because that's the angle we want to watch out for. I can probably even go up to 50, but we'll keep it at 45 to be safe. So I'm gonna click done, and then we're gonna have to flip this around to check the other side as well. So what I'll do is go to Y here and do a 180 flip. That didn't work. There you go. Let's try that again. I'm not sure what just happened. We'll go to Y, do 180. That should flip it 180. And then let's Z offset to bring this up. So I'm going to go up. Let's do 210. So that's fine. I just want to check these angles here. Actually, I can bring that up just a little more. So what I'm going to do is go back to generate supports. Let's go to auto generate. Okay, so we see we have a problem here. This angle is not going to work. That's too shallow. So let's see how it does in 50. Reduces a little bit, but still not there. Still doesn't meet that angle that I set. So we'll go ahead and let's go back to Fusion to try to fix that. So I'm going to take this. Actually, we have to go into edit form first. So let's grab this. And we're going to bring that out a bit. Actually, we'll even make it more sort of convex there. And let's try that. We'll click OK. And try it again. So go to finish form, make 3D print. Bring that into simplify. We'll get rid of our old one there. I could have actually would have been easier if I would have just flipped this in Fusion, so it just imported all the same way. But so that means I have to do one extra step here of placing this surface on the bed and then centering it. So again, I'll double check this, but I'm sure I'm going to be fine with this orientation. So we'll go ahead and flip it. Again, I'll do a 180. Bring this up 215, and then we'll generate supports again. Okay, that looks good. So that fixed the problem. So we can see, like, if I brought this down to 30 degree, I start to get all sorts of supports. 35, they start to go down 40, and then 45, they're completely gone. So this should print fine. We'll go ahead and test this out. So let me click done, and I'll reorient this. So let's go to place surface on bed. Try that again. Edit, place surface on bed, choose this, and then we'll edit sensor and arrange models. So there we go. I think I'm going to do a small test print first before I actually try a huge one that'll maximize, the whole bed. So yeah, we'll scale this down a bit. Let me see. Let's do scaling. I have uniform scaling on, so I'll set the Z height to 80 and everything should scale uniform. So, okay, I just want sort of a quick print just to test it. Let's click on our processes here, and what we're going to do is under layer and make sure we have single outline corkscrew print mode. So that's the base mode. I have top layers as 0, bottom layers as 3. 2 perimeters, it's going to override that because it's just going to do one shell around. I will increase the primary layer height to 0.3 just to print this a little faster. It will have the effect, the higher you go on that layer height, the less your adhesion, your layer adhesion is going to be, just because it's moving up a bigger distance each interval. So you can actually, if I was to go to like 0.2 or 0.1, I could probably get away with a higher angle, so maybe be able to go to like 55 or 60, but we're going to keep it at 0.3 just because I want this to print fast right now. So I'm going to click OK. Alright, next I'm just going to go ahead and it's going to tell me you're using spiral or vase mode, so it's going to override all your other settings. I'm going to click yes, and let's go ahead and simulate this. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to save it to my SD card. We will call it Crystal, Let's save and let's send this to the printer. Here's the time-lapse video one more time just because I can't help myself and I really love this video. As you can see, this is the scaled up model where I took advantage of the entire bed size. And here is a video of me just removing the object from the bed. I just want to show this to show you guys how easy this was. I know in other printers it can really be a pain to try to remove something of this size. Anyone recognize this GoPro stand over here? Here's a close-up from the GoPro taken at that angle. Thanks for watching. I can't believe it's already been 20 minutes. I just have too much to share. Let me know what you guys think by leaving it in the comments below, or if you have any questions. And as always, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like it and subscribe so I can see you in the next video, or so you can see me in the next video. Alright guys, take care.